I thought it appropriate for us this afternoon to listen to a speech that was made by Malcolm X many, many years ago in the early 1960s about Palestine. But this speech was prophetic because it touched on all the issues that are playing itself out now in such a dreadful way in Gaza and in the occupied West Bank. After this short clip, this short audio by Malcolm X, I'm going to make an official statement on behalf of the African Radical Economic Transformation Alliance about our position concerning the current situation in Palestine. And after that, we will return to the topic of the day, which is this discussion about the College of Medicine of South Africa and overall the plight of medical practitioners, specifically Black and African medical practitioners in South Africa. But first of all, let us listen to Malcolm X.
The Palestinian struggle is not just a cry for justice. It's a blistering battle for the most fundamental human rights that every living soul on this planet should inherit by birthright. It's an unyielding resistance against the oppressive, suffocating grip of occupation and the callous denial of the most basic human dignity. Just as the civil rights movement in the United States fought against the chains of racial discrimination, so too do the Palestinian people strive to shatter the chains of occupation and tyranny. Never forget, my friends, that the Palestinians, much like African Americans in the United States, have been subjected to a heart-wrenching history of suffering and torment. The birth of Israel in 1948 brought forth the mass expulsion and dispossession of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians from their ancestral homes and land. This is a historic injustice that continues to haunt the lives of Palestinians to this very day. The situation in Palestine serves as a brutal reminder of the consequences of colonialism and the ruthless dispossession of indigenous peoples. It is an agonizing reminder that the fight for justice knows no borders, and we must stand united in solidarity with all oppressed peoples, whether they reside in the United States, South Africa, or anywhere around the world. Let's be unequivocally clear. Advocating for the rights of the Palestinian people is not synonymous with denying the rights and security of the Jewish people. The fight for justice in Palestine is not an assault on any particular group, but an unwavering stand against the policies of a Zionist state that has for far too long stripped Palestinians of their rights. We must remember that numerous Jewish voices also resound in the calls for justice and peace in Palestine, and their voices must not be silenced. In our relentless pursuit of justice for the Palestinian people, we must also acknowledge that it is in the best interest of the entire world to seek a just and enduring solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It is a pursuit in the name of peace, stability, and the dignity of all mankind. But let me underscore this. The battle for justice in Palestine is not merely a political struggle, it's an elemental moral battle. It's the fight for the most basic human rights of a people who have suffered these injustices for far too long. It's the fight for the right to exist in peace and security, free from the ceaseless specter of violence and dispossession. If you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. I implore every person of conscience, regardless of their origins or beliefs, to stand steadfast with the Palestinian people in their unwavering quest for justice by any means necessary. Let us unite in building a world where every soul can live in freedom and dignity, where the rights of every individual are not just respected, but celebrated. The struggle for justice in Palestine is a universal fight, a resonating echo of the battles waged by oppressed people across the globe. It's a battle we must champion, a torch we must carry, and a legacy we must honor. Thank you, and free Palestine.
Well, there you have it. The great Malcolm X, speaking with so much clarity about the challenges of the people of Palestine already so many years ago. And yes, indeed, Malcolm X said, we must fight for the rights of the people of Palestine, for justice by any means necessary. And in my view, that any means necessary certainly also includes the right of the Palestinian people to take up arms against the oppressive colonial apartheid state of Israel by any means necessary, justified by international law and by the resolutions of the United Nations. I would now like us to maintain a moment of silence for all the children, for the women, for all the civilians that have died in the relentless attacks that are being executed on Gaza by the genocidal apartheid Israel regime. Let's maintain a moment of silence. Thank you very much. I said that I would like to make an official statement about the position of the African Radical Economic Transformation Alliance regarding the current situation, the terrible tragedy that is playing itself out, especially in Gaza, but throughout Palestine, right now, at this very moment, in front of our very eyes on our television screens. Some of you may have seen a short poster statement that was issued under the logo of Areta 2 days ago. It contained a quote from me, which comes out of an interview that I had with Independent Online. That quote on that poster reads as follows. I open quotation. I have no time for crap. Anyone who wants to tell me that he or she doesn't condemn the genocide that apartheid Israel is committing specifically in Gaza and in Palestine in general must please get the hell out of Areta. I'm not prepared to work with anyone who is so morally and ethically depraved that they are not prepared to condemn and fight against the genocide, indeed the Holocaust, that we now see on a daily basis on our television screens. Close quotation. That is where Areta stands. The position of Areta with regards to the situation in Palestine and the genocide, in fact, as I say in that quotation, the Holocaust being committed by apartheid Israel is one of no compromise. As I said, those who do not have the guts or the backbone to stand up, not just to speak out, but but to actively work against what is happening in Palestine and what apartheid Israel and its big master, the United States of America, is doing, must please leave Areta. I see when we're on this X spaces sometimes that there are some of us who, when the issue of Palestine is addressed, we leave the space as if we're not comfortable to be there. I've also been confronted by some who said to me that they have strong religious arguments in favor of Israel. Now, I'm astonished that people can come to me, an Afrikaner who at the age of 17 wrote a letter to the Synod of the Dutch Reformed Church, the white apartheid Dutch Reformed Church, telling them, I am leaving this church because I do not believe in your racism, and I do not accept the theology of apartheid, nor do I accept this very warped and wrong theology that the Afrikaner people, like the Jewish people, are a privileged people, are specially selected by God. I do not accept that interpretation of the Old Testament, and I do so as a theologian, someone who has studied theology with regards to current Israel and the current so-called Jewish community. Nor do I accept it, or did I accept it, with regards to the role of the Afrikaner and their racist colonial occupation of South Africa. So anyone who wants to tell me, you know, I cannot speak out against Israel because of my faith, because of the particular church that I belong to, don't try it on me. I've been there. I took the choice. I stepped away. I resigned. I still have my resignation letter in which I expressed my utter rejection and disgust with that kind of self-serving, racist theology. So it's not going to impact on me today with regards to Israel. I'm emotional today because what we see and what is happening in Palestine is the most terrible moral depravity that one can possibly imagine. It is truly a genocide. On an hourly basis, crimes against humanity are being committed. This is, for us in the world, also here in South Africa, the most definitive moral, ethical, political issue of our time. When we sit in front of our television screens and we watch Al Jazeera, and we hear how Al Shifa Hospital, which when you translate the name means House of Healing, is being bombed. You cannot but become emotional. I've cried many evenings while sitting, watching what is playing itself out. Yesterday I was deeply disturbed by what the political party, Jama-ah, is doing in terms of its continuing relationship with the Patriotic Alliance of Kunene and Gayton Mckenzie. Kunene and Mckenzie went to a Zionist meeting and expressed their support for Zionist apartheid genocidal Israel. In fact, Kunene called, shouting, "Hail Hamas, don't show any mercy to the Palestinian people. This is your time. Kill, kill." Yesterday I saw a photo of the current mayor of Johannesburg, Kabelo Wamamda, and the former mayor of Johannesburg, now also the leader of Jama-ah in Gauteng, Tapelo Ahmed, standing hand around the shoulder with Kunene smiling away at the soccer derby. This is wrong. I saw when I criticized that photo, some people commenting on the social media, on X Spaces and on Facebook, but this was just the soccer game. Why are you upset? My simple question to them would be, if I, in the early 1980s, went to a rugby game at Ellis Park, and I stood hand around the shoulder with P.W. Botha grinning from ear to ear, and that photo was published, would you have said to me, was this not simply a rugby match? Let's not get upset. It is just sport. It is just a game, after all. No, it's not just a game. Over 10,000 innocent people have lost their lives during the last 30 days in Gaza. Of that, more than half are children. As we're speaking right now, in the Al-Sifa hospital, the electricity, water and oxygen supplies have been cut. Babies in incubators are dying right now. Just before I started this space, I turned my television screen on for a moment, and it was announced that 15 babies in Al-Sifa hospital, little babies, infants recently born, had just in the last hour passed on. So no, it's not a game. And this is the decisive moment for us in what we're going to do and the decisions that we take. So myself and Areta is unequivocal, and I've conveyed this to the leader of Jama-ah, Comrade Hendricks, the national leader, and the provincial leader of Jama-ah here in Gauteng, Comrade Tapelo Ahmed, that we cannot accept such an association and a continuing coalition by Jama-ah in the government of Johannesburg's metro. They must withdraw from the Johannesburg Metro Coalition immediately. And that is an uncompromising, unequivocal statement that we are making, and we will stick with it. We will not hesitate to continue to make that call in public, and we will not hesitate to criticize them if they fail to withdraw. This is the time where the gauntlet is falling down, and there's no space for compromise, no space to beat around the bush. On the issue of Palestine, Areta is unequivocal. So thank you for having a